Hello, and welcome to Live By Moonlight, where it's not a phase to be absolutely obsessed with that guy you just met.
This week we are talking about Our Flag Means Death, Season 1, Episode 4, Discomfort in a Married State.
Ooh. My name is Umberlin, and I have no idea how the iCarly people did this every single week, once a week, multiple times. Seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, my name's Caitlin, and I'm still getting used to being perceived.
It's hard.
It's hard to look at a phone.
So, Caitlin,
Yeah.
This episode is a lofty one. Yeah. It's a heavy one. It's a hearty one. It's a meaty one. Mm-hmm. It's a grainy one, if you will.
Delicious dish.
It's a delicious dish. So, for those of you who are watching along with us or haven't watched in a while and just need a quick refresher, in this episode, Steed is bedridden for the very beginning, and he's having these lucid dreams about his family, that he left, that he's guilt-ridden about having left. Meanwhile, Blackbeard and his crew has shown up, including Izzy, who is my little meow meow. And
He's so stressed.
And essentially, the two, Ed or Blackbeard and Steed, kind of start to bond and form this friendship, which, again, totally against Izzy's wishes. Meanwhile, the crew was kind of just like in awe of this man, Blackbeard, but also not sure if like they're going to get killed. And meanwhile, the Spaniards are on the horizon. And just when it looks like things are not going to go well for them, they band together. And because of a brilliant idea that these two new friends, soulmates, have at the same time, they end up creating a lighthouse. Woo-hoo. And that lighthouse is what helps steer the Spaniards away, thus I feel like cementing their bond.
All is well.
All is well. Caitlin, it looks like we've kind of been choosing some statement jewelry this past couple episodes. Show us what you're wearing today.
Oh, I'm wearing a lighthouse necklace.
Whee!
For no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not because that's the overarching theme of the episode. No, that couldn't be. What hooked you?
My hook for this was when, after Steed wakes up and he asks Ed if he works for Blackbeard, and Ed doesn't like confirm that he is in fact Blackbeard right away, and in fact he kind of rethinks his whole life in that moment where he's like, never thought about it like that.
Good point.
Yeah, kind of do. I really like that because I felt like it helped. I feel like this is the episode that really like drives the show forward, and to like what it's gonna actually be about. Right. And I feel like in that moment it was just like, not only is Ed like reconsidering his whole career, but like he wasn't completely truthful with Steed, and so I was like, ooh, how long is this gonna go?
Right.
How long is it gonna take Steed to realize the man with the long black beard is in fact Blackbeard?
Yeah.
What about you?
I think that I was hooked right from the beginning, because something I really love about this episode is the transitions are great. Yeah. I listed a couple of them, but it's like when Steed shuts his eyes and it transitions to Mary pulling her hands away from his eyes when she first gives him the painting. Yeah. Or when his son stabs him and it transitions to the Spaniard stabbing him, but when the Spaniard speaks, it's his son's voice. Yeah. Or when Steed turns over in the bed on the ship when Ed is first there by his bedside, and when he completes his turnover, it's actually him in bed next to Mary. Or then when Mary just shows up in his room when he's lucid dreaming on their revenge. I thought all of those elements mixing together in this episode were great. I feel like they not only emphasized that like Steed is kind of at this turning point in his relationship with the ship, with his decision that he made, and that it looks like something new is going to come in and kind of change all of that. So I really enjoyed that. That's what got me excited. Yeah, I was like, wow, a lot of effects in this episode. I'm looking forward to watching on. Was there a favorite part for you?
Yeah, my favorite scene was, well, it's kind of like a tie. It's a tie between when they go into the wardrobe and Steed shows Ed like his secret auxiliary wardrobe that no one knows, and like Ed's just absolutely fascinated by it. But my other favorite was when they switch clothes. Right. And I just thought it was just so silly and so wonderful, and just the fact that Ed's like, you want to do something weird, and then they just do it, and the crew is just so confused the entire time as to what's going on. Right. I just thought, I was just like, this is funny, and I just liked it. I feel like it showed like their dynamic of like just two captains doing their best, and they're just like, let's do it. Right. And also just the Chad and Ryan of it all.
Yeah. So. I think that's what I love most about their dynamic already is it seems like they both love a bit. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that they were immediately just like, yeah, let's do this. It'll free everybody out. And it seems like for everybody else on board, it's like a life and death situation. It seems like lives are at stake. Like the crew of the Revenge is worried that like Blackbeard's crew is going to kill them. Izzy's like all worked up that if they don't do something sooner or later, like the Spaniards are going to come and shit's going to get really bad.
But who cares about that? We gotta switch clothes.
Yeah, they're like, actually, but look at this. Look at we have clothes on and they're different. Yeah.
What was your favorite scene?
That's hard. I really, weirdly enough, it was so small, but it was almost like a little pocket of peace or like a slice of life at the very beginning when Steed's playing with his kids. Yeah. And they're playing pirates. And like it so seems cute. Like he was probably like a very dedicated father, but maybe like the worst husband ever, like cringe 100%. Fail husband for real. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. I'd have to say it's a tie between that and the very end scene where Ed and Stede are sitting up in the lookout and they're sharing bread and marmalade, and they make this decision to kind of like Prince and the Pauper each other and say, oh, like you can teach me and I'll teach you. Which I love, not just because there's I think at this point, this is the direction that you think the show is taking. You're like, oh, these two buddies in this bromance are going to like help each other out and nothing else will happen. But then there is it also
they seem like good friends.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that's what the show's about. It's about two pirates who are very different helping each other out. Yeah. But then the other thing I love about that, and perhaps the flip side of that, is that I think like Taika Waititi does some of his best eye acting in this scene. Like, I mean,
man's got some eyes.
Yeah, not to like spoil anything, but like this guy's clearly so into you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was thinking when we were watching this today, how did I watch this the first time and not know where this is going? When like literally one of the first scenes in the show is just Ed just staring at Steed the entire time. He has a whole conversation with Lucius, does not look at Lucius once because he's just staring at Steed.
I know.
And I was like, how did you not know that this is gonna be where it went?
How is it not clear?
It was crystal clear. I just didn't have my glasses on.
That's like that saying when you have your rose tinted glasses on, everything looks red, not just the red flags. Yeah. Well, we love that for us. Yeah. We're both very detail oriented people, clearly.
Well, and I also feel like it just shows that like you usually like you hope it goes where you want it to go, right, but it never does. Yeah. Or it does, but it's really poorly done. And I feel like even when they were like later on in the season, there were moments where I'm like, well, I see why Tumblr likes this show. Yeah. I doubt anything's going to happen, though, because nothing ever does. So I feel like that was, like, part of where, like, maybe I didn't pick up on it because I'm just like, it's not going to happen. Right. But still, he literally has heart eyes.
Yeah.
Like, the epitome of
the whole time, he's like,
they're just friends.
I think we should talk a little bit about some of our immediate standout characters in this episode. Yeah. There were some people that slayed. Who were they?
I mean Ed. Yeah. Because it's the first full episode where you get to like know more about him, and I feel like he's like just so captivating because he's interesting because you're like, oh my god, it's Blackbeard, the notorious pirate.
Who is he?
But he's bored. And he's so bored. And just like just a little like giddy enthusiasm he had when he's like checking out Steve's stuff, and he's like, this guy's fascinating. Oh my god, look at this ship. And that's what I liked is like in all the flashbacks with Steed and Mary, like obviously she hates the ship because she hates the ocean because Steed did not listen to her ever. Right. And just the juxtaposition of like her being like, I don't want this. Right. And then Ed being like, this is so cool. Like I love that. It shows that like, look, this is someone that Steed should have in his life. Right. And should possibly be with and spend more time with because like he appreciates the stuff. Right. Not that like it was a problem for Mary for not appreciating it because he was so bad to her in a way. Yeah. Because like you can tell like on all the flashbacks, like Mary is the one who's trying to put all the effort into the marriage. Like, neither of them asked for this. Right. But like Steed's doing the least. Yeah. Like he's sitting there kind of ignoring her, just reading the book, and she's like, please play with your children. Right. I hate the ocean, and I told this to you the other day, and you didn't listen. So, like, I appreciate that, like, the show didn't show, like, yeah, she was the problem, and that's why he left.
Yeah.
It's him. Hi, he's the problem.
It's him. Yeah, I think that's what I like about the show is when they compare and contrast Mary and Ed. It's not in a way that's like, she wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts. Yeah. I said, making the second Taylor Swift reference.
In like 3 seconds.
I feel like maybe I should.
Bye, Flo. There we go. She's making this very difficult. Florence never gave us these issues.
She just made more sense for this. I really just feel like what I love about the show is they don't, like, I think a lot of shows make the mistake of painting the alternative love interest or the person that's maybe not meant to be with the main character as, like, a villain.
Yeah.
And, like, somebody doesn't have to be a villain to not be good for you. Like, they could just, like, have their own life and experience and not share the same interests as you. It doesn't have to be, like, a whole thing. They don't have to be morally corrupt in order for you to not need to be with them, you know?
Yeah, sometimes the main character is the problem, and I love a man with flaws.
Yeah, I don't. I wish they would stop. Taylor gets it.
Taylor gets it.
She's like, yeah, I know.
You know, Ed finds everything about Steed fascinating, and just like, I loved that it wasn't just, oh, like, he's this, like, notorious pirate who's really famous, loves his life. He's actually, I hate my life. And just like the scene with Izzy and Ed where they're like, Ed's checking out his stuff and Izzy's like, can we please focus, like, and do pirate things, and murder.
Yeah,
I think that's all Izzy wants to do.
He just wants murder. He just wants blood. Yeah.
Ed gets so fed up with him, and just the way he yells, everything's so fucking boring. And I felt that. Like,
yeah,
it's just like, this man is fed up with his life, and he really wants just
a change,
break the monotony,
right?
And just to see that happen with, like, as Ed and Stede get to know each other, and just see, like, Ed kind of, like, maybe be this person that he's never been able to be in the longest time. It was really fun to watch kind of that all happen. And even at the very end, we're thinking, oh, they're gonna work together and learn from each other, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And then he has this conversation with Izzy where he's just like, well, what if Blackbeard showed up dead and I'm Stede Bonnet now, and, like, basically saying, like, actually this is gonna be like, they're gonna work together, but Ed is secretly trying to kill Steed throughout the whole thing. I was just like, ooh, that's interesting. But then what really gets me is the way Izzy is like, hey, you still got it. And then Ed turns around to Izzy and he's just like, yeah. But then he turns back around and we see his face, and he's just he looks so tired.
Yeah, so tormented.
So tormented of like, oh, I don't want this life. But so that was really, like, that was a hook in a way too, because I was just like, what's going on with this guy? Like, what does he want?
Yeah, what does he want? I really liked Ed this episode too. He was definitely up there in my favorites, because I mean, I think, like, the way that Taika Waititi, like, carries himself in this specific character is really interesting to me. He's almost like very cat-like. I know, like, I've seen the comparisons on Tumblr of, like, oh, this person's got, like, dog energy, this person has cat energy. Like, I feel like Ed's character in this is, like, a great example of that. He just kind of like bounces around the room, but in kind of this weird, like, I'm actually secretly preying on everybody in the room kind of way.
The way he, like, jumps off, like, the stairs, like,
below
deck.
The way he hops, and there's just something about it that I really enjoy. Another person that weirdly stuck out to me this episode, and that I kind of want to see more of, is Buttons. Yeah. Like, there wasn't much that he did, but, like, I think the very beginning scenes where he's just, like, looking at the ships and he's like, hola, to the Spanish ship, made me realize that I really want to see more interactions between Buttons and, like, other people in the crew, explicitly Lucius and Izzy. Yeah. Because I feel like I just need that. Like, I deserve that. I mean, like, I don't really know if I need to explain myself beyond that.
I also like that Buttons is the one who was like, hey, the Spanish are coming, and then is the one who told Izzy. Like, Izzy did jack shit in this episode.
Yeah, he just walked around and screamed.
He walked around, yelled at the crew, was a dick, and then was relaying information that he learned from the crew that he said was useless to Ed, being like, hey, we got this issue going on. Right. And the only thing that was really useful that he did was say the date. Yeah. That Lucius also knew. Yeah. So I thought that was fun.
Yeah. Leave it to Izzy to just, like, walk around and scream. Every single workplace needs someone who just walks around and screams. Yeah. And that person is Izzy Hands. Another person who really stuck with me this episode is Mary. Yeah. I think that she is probably one of my favorite characters in the show. Me too. I think I love what the writers did with her character. I love that they made the very intelligent decision not to make her like a villain or like a bad person.
Yeah.
But I also just think her delivery is so funny.
Yes.
Like, because I don't like the fucking ocean. Like, yeah. I always just like yell at that. Like,
yeah.
When we were at the fucking ocean, like, she just knows how to deliver a line. I just love her. I really do.
And just like the clear like conflict on her face, like when her and Steed are in bed and she's like, I know we didn't choose each other, but like we only got this one life, like please like give me something, like please help me like work to make this like enjoyable for us.
Right.
And Steed's like,
right.
Fades out.
Yeah, and she really wants to try. And I also think there's also this sense that like what you're living, it's like the 1600s. You can't just like divorce your husband. No, that's like not how it works.
That's
you
not
know,
a thing.
Like the only thing that would have to happen is that he would have to run away to become a pirate. And like
that is the only option.
Yeah, and the bar's pretty low for that happening unless you're married to a guy named Steed Bonnet. Yeah. So good for her. So in addition to standout characters, I was wondering if you had any standout quotes.
Yeah, I had a few. 2 of them came from Frenchie, my beloved. He just his delivery too is just really fun.
Oh no, I know, he's so good.
So one of them was when also like I love that the crew all eats together. Yeah. I think that's really cute. It is. I also love that Izzy comes in and yells at them, and then they go, anyway.
Yeah, like there's no recognition of this man's authority.
Yeah, they're like, cool. Heard. But like when they're all sitting around having lunch and talking with Jim, and Frenchie's just like talking about how women are actually like give bad vibes on the ships because women have crystals in their bodies, and crystals attract demons, and demons attract misfortune. So like I just want to know, like, where did he pick up all of this stuff? I know. Like in his travels, like where did he learn this? When he did decide that like cats are evil, they steal the souls of children. Yeah, like how did he become so conspiratorial? Yeah. I just think he's neat. My other line from Frenchie that I really liked was at the end when Lucius was like, I never got to see the world. And Frenchie's like, it's a bit of a letdown, mate. It's all a bit rocky and flat. I know. Rocky and flat. I remember laughing so hard at that the first time I watched it. And every time it still gets me. I also just like the line from Steed towards the end when he's talking to Ed about like the marmalade and how much they have, and he goes, I had to get rid of some gunpowder, but I think it was the right move. Yeah. Like it shows like his sort of like incompetence as a pirate, right? And of being like, this is my priority, is the marmalade. Right. Who cares about the gunpowder? Right. But
it also shows that he's kind of like this weird like what's the word, like silly guy that's like what's more important to him, because he loves the finer things in life, you know. For me, dick fuck, no it's not. Yeah. Remains one of my favorite lines in the show when Izzy tells Ed it's September 1st. Yep. So funny.
Now a national holiday.
All the time. Yep. Yeah. And then another one is when Izzy's yelling at Ed and he's calling Ed Blackbeard, and Ed goes, that's Blackbeard, and points to Steed and says, I'm Steed. Remember when they switch clothing? I just think that's so funny. Like his commitment to the bit is just hilarious.
Just like, that's Blackbeard. And Izzy's just like,
I love him so much because he's like the ex that hangs around in your life after the fact and is not okay with you changing as a person. Yeah. And it's just so fun to watch him stress out about that. It is. So Caitlin. Yeah. How did the end of the episode treat you?
Again, like with the whole of, this is what the show's going to be about, with Ed and Stede, like being like, let's learn from each other. Like you can teach me the ways of an aristocrat, I'll teach you the ways of being a pirate. Right. And I remember like the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, all right, I see where this is going. Like this is kind of interesting. Right. But then the immediate like turn on its head when like you think that Ed is actually going to be like wanting to plot to kill Steed, it made me like more interested that way, because I'm just like, ooh, he's maybe not what he seems. Right. Like that's where we think like where that's where this episode ends, and I just thought it was so interesting. But still, he's so troubled in that way. Like he has like an identity crisis. Right. With like having this persona of Blackbeard to live up to, but like who's Ed, and how long has it been since he's been able to be Ed? Right. And I feel like you saw him have so much fun this episode. Yeah. And like to not be Blackbeard, because he like introduced himself to Steed as Ed first. It was just super interesting. So it really I've never seen anyone be like, wow, the first 3 episodes of the show are like not that good. But I see
Right.
people be like, how do people not like the first 3 episodes? I'm like, okay, I don't see anybody saying that. But
Right.
I feel like the first 3 episodes are really, really strong on their own because it's great and I love them all so much.
Right.
And it's really like, it sets up the show. It's got amazing acting from Reese Darby, from just like all the comedic acting and just like setting up Steed as a character.
Yeah.
But I really do think that this is the episode that really pushes everything forward and makes you be like, okay, I can't stop watching this at this point because of the addition of Ed and Izzy and Fang and Ivan and like how that dynamic all comes in on their revenge.
Right.
And like where their relationship goes forward.
Right.
So yeah, that's where I felt. How about you?
I think what's interesting for me is that I never it's so funny, even from the moment that Ed says to Izzy, oh, like he's gonna turn up dead and Blackbeard's clothes and I'll be someplace and you'll be the new captain of the Revenge. I didn't like believe it. Like even before he turned, I was kind of like, no, I don't think so. You know, which is kind of funny. I think there's so many times in the show that like something happens and the intention is to lead you one direction, but either because we're just so used to things going a certain way in some of these shows, or because we know it's coming. Yeah. Or we kind of think we know what's coming. It's so easy to just ignore what the writers are trying to do. Yeah. I think of the example of Lucius later on, and what happens to him and how we're all led to believe one thing, but no one believes that.
I don't believe it.
So if you want to find out what we're talking about, stay tuned. But
stay tuned.
But yeah. I mean, I think what I love most about that scene is, again, like I feel like Taika Waititi gives like an incredible performance when he turns on his heel after like giving Izzy like a smile, and his face changes the moment the vocals start in the empty boat. That always gets me.
So good.
Like I'm like, what is happening between them? So I really enjoyed that. Overall, I think this is one of my not my favorite episodes, but it's one of my definitely like most enjoyed episodes, because you just see so many different things coming together and you don't know what half of it means, and then a couple different watches down the road you might kind of learn, that's what was going on. But that's what I like so much about this episode.
Well, speaking of how you like to rate that episode, let's go into our tier list.
Yeah, what's our tier list?
Our tier list is I ate all the drywall in my house and the accompanying nails, made me mentally ill affectionate, neutral like my pH balance, made me mentally ill foreboding, and Riverdale core. So where would you put Discomfort in a Merry State on the tier?
I'd say it made me mentally ill affectionate. Yeah, like a lot of things happened that were very traumatic for Steed while he was fever dreaming, but the transitions were impeccable. I felt like I was in the fever dream with him. I felt his grief and sadness and guilt over having left his family, and at the same time I felt the horrors that were swirling around in Ed's eyes. Definitely made me feel all of the feelings. Loved it.
I'm the same way, mentally ill affectionate, because it's like it doesn't make me just go like eating the drywall. Overall, it just makes me like really happy and excited for like all the rest of the episodes.
What's to come.
And it just, I don't know, it's a really good episode, and like I said, this is the turning point for the series, I feel like. So yay.
So tune in next time on By Moonlight. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this week's episode of Lit by Moonlight. Tune in next time when we review The Best Revenge is Dressing Well. Episode 4, Season 1. 5. Episode 5, Season 1. I'll do it again. Thank you!
Yay!
For tuning in. We'll never get through this.
Let's just keep it all in.
Thanks! Thank you.
We really are not used to being perceived.
I probably should have practiced this in my bedroom before I came out here and did this. Thank you for listening or watching. Yep. Okay. We're getting there. Taylor, help! Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Lit by Moonlight. Tune in next week when we review episode 5 of season 1 of Our Flag Means Death. The best revenge is dressing well.
Really normal about that episode.